They're such big creatures that just have this like peaceful presence kind of.
Welcome to the Insiders. Good evening, Matthew. Special episode tonight. Thanks to the wonders of the international internet algorithm, I stumbled across this little video from this Canadian kid called Reed Platonis. It was just sick. Four mates going into the wilderness to go surfing, and they went and surfed this slabby wave, and I sent him a message, reached out to him. I just wanted to ask him about it. And primarily, my first question I wanted to ask him, and the reason this whole thing started was, do you see bears? Because I think I've got bear phobia because I've never seen really a bear, but there's some bears in the Pyrenees, and I've done a lot of hiking, and I always wondered what would happen if came across one.
Yeah, I think that's one of the many things that I absolutely love about being a surfer is that, like there's plenty of people that I now chat to and would happily say, yeah, I know him quite well, or I know them quite well. And it's through a shared passion of surfing. Um, and yeah, you put me on to Reed and his YouTube edit. And then I realized quite quickly after that I'd seen him in a QS event and stuff like that. Um, but I can say now this is one of my favorite times speaking to someone. I don't like saying interview because it didn't feel like an interview. But listening to him, learning from him, and finding out more about him, I reckon this is up there with my favorite conversations we've had with people on this body.
Man, I could have talked to him all night. I struggle with that when I have people like Reed come to my cafe that I forget that I've actually got to work because one of my favorite things in life is um, learning about other people, especially people that have got interesting stories. And for example, have grandfathers that were whale photographers and
Yeah,
researchers.
whale research are mad, 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 mad. But
Mad.
um, and that's like, we're about to drop our conversation with Reed now, and that's something he says within the first 2 or 3 minutes of chatting to him, and it doesn't stop. Like the amount of times where during this next like 40, 45 minute conversation where I'm like, whoa, no way. Like, or like, what? Like a little bit blown away by some of the things he says about without trying to spoil it. Like, but the lengths he goes to get waves,
Oh, I forgot.
mind-boggling.
I forgot to ask him, man. In that video, or was it another thing? He gets in a wetsuit and wet booties the next day, and he packs his stuff up the night before. So he packs his wet booties in his bag the night before because they're in the wilderness. So it's pretty rad. Before we talk to him, a couple of things I want to speak to you about in the world of surfing. Matty, there was a little bit of a carnage day at Pipeline. Did you see Emio Zeviak broke his back again?
Yep. Yeah, vertebrae, very similar to the that Luke Skywalker kid who or guy who's done that.
Lucas Godfrey, isn't it?
Yeah,
Pretty gnarly day. You saw that, and Mason Ho got
I
his
saw
face
Mason.
ripped up.
Yeah, yeah, Mason had like massive like chunks of his face by the looks of it, scraped along the reef, and yeah, I know. Well, I spoke to Jay Phipps because he's there, and he said it was just on a different level that day as well.
Well, I had a look at one of the videos, YouTube video, Pipe Raw. I forget what channel that is. It's a Hawaiian thing. It looks a little bit ugly. Obviously, he condense it down to highlights and see guys get a lot of good barrels, but a lot of waves are just coming in, slamming shut on those lefts. And I guess if you got, which they did have, 200 guys in the water, it just looked hectic. Like the guys that don't surf as much just have to take off on waves. They're going to send them to hospital.
Yeah. And even guys who do surf it a lot, like I know Emilio's not a local out there, but he would have, you know,
He's pretty well connected, huh? Because
yeah,
he's
very well
because
connected.
he's from Chopu. You see, he's best mates with Noel Besson and Kalani Rivera. Rivera.
Yeah, and he's with Nathan Florence a lot as well, and like things like that as well. So yeah, they definitely are connected. And
I
he,
saw this. I saw something last year. Sorry, Matt.
no, I was going to say, and he still suffered at the hands of Pipe. So yeah,
I
interesting.
saw. I saw last year he had a GoFundMe, right? And he was in the comp, and there was a thing with insurance, etc. And I don't know if I gave him money. I did give some once to Tom Lowe, and then like you think, what he's doing there if you don't have insurance? It's just crazy. But like there was some people saying like, what's he doing and whatever for Emio again this time. And when you think about it, he's got 350,000 followers, right? That's a
Mm,
pretty massive amount, isn't it?
yeah.
He's catching waves like his wave of the year, you got to think would be in the top 10 waves in the year worldwide every year. He's just fucking mental. Now, if he's not able to go out and, you know what I mean, he's got to go to pipe and do that. That's, yeah, whether he's doing comps or not, that's kind of his career. He's got like a big following. Like, he obviously wants to he's a professional surfer. Whether he's a professional surfer in the same respect as Jack Robbo or Philippe Toledo is another question. But you know, he's a professional surfer. So I mean, his thing is put himself in hospital.
But yeah, but why isn't he insured?
That's a good question. I don't know if he. I'm thinking he would have to be insured this time. When you think if you would he
You'd
have
hope
an
so.
agent?
I mean, I'm not being funny, but like
No, I
I'm I'm
100%
I'm
agree with you.
I'm about to go to Indo. I've got travel insurance. I'm covered on my travel insurance for up to £1 million worth of medical cover.
And you're not planning on going there and sending it on a 10-meter
No.
dry slab, are you?
No, and that's a 2 week trip, and it's cost me £25.
There you
Why?
go.
Why he like? I don't
It
understand why he's if he isn't insured, why he's not insured. It makes no sense to me.
makes
Um,
no sense to me either. But then again, the other side of the Atlantic, even though he's not, he's Tahiti, it's French. I'm pretty sure he's got French medical, uh, like proper social
Hmm.
security insurance. But you never know what's going on. And like with the mentality from people from America who are against medical insurance.
Yeah,
Otherwise, we
and
wouldn't have so much GoFundMe stuff.
who knows? Yeah, I find the GoFundMe's a bit weird. If I'm honest, it's like if I go and injure myself in Indo on a trip surfing, and then stick up something saying, "Oh, I can't make it to work for a month. Can everyone send me some money?" Like, I think it's great that communities and stuff do it, but it's almost like you don't see people going, "Oh, I had a car crash today and I need to buy a new car and stuff, so can everyone give me some money?" Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah, I broke my ankle like getting out of the bus and there was a pothole.
yeah, yeah, or like my boiler broke. Can the community give me some money because I can't afford it? It's kind of like, well, that's just that happens. Shit happens. Do you know what I mean? It's like my dog had 2 operations last year. That cost me 2.5 grand. I didn't stick up a GoFundMe, even
We
though I
had
should.
we had Romeo, our cat that come in through Elliot's window a few years ago and had broken its paw in two spots. That was €460. I
Did you
didn't
do a
think about it.
GoFundMe?
No, I didn't think about it at the time.
Yeah,
Next
I feel
time.
like I'm missing out. Now I think about it, I'm missing out. I might,
Well,
yeah.
like those guys, but in a different respect. Reed is a pro surfer. Pretty cool, huh? 21, rip curl. I'd sponsor him.
I'd sponsor him. And yeah, pro surfer, but I think people will hear it. He's got his head screwed on that he knows that there's a couple of paths. He's obviously ambitious with his goals, but I think he knows that there's more than one way to skin
Skin
a
a
cat,
cat.
as they say.
And before I call him a pro surfer, I'm just going to call him an adventurer.
And he gets like full core certification from me. Like just the lengths he goes to, wet wetsuits, the temperatures he's surfing in, the animals that he has that I'm not going to mention what animals
Oh,
because more than just a bear, the
we'll get
animals he
there.
has fear of, that he details, he's full core, like definitely core.
Full core. I'm calling him Core on the Kook Or Core call. And so thanks for listening to us again, Audio Nauts. Enjoy this episode with an entertaining young man from Vancouver Island near the beach of Tofano.
Yeah.
You. Welcome to the Insiders, Red.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm stoked. Thanks for reaching out.
What's the origin of Platonius?
I think it's Latin. I'm honestly not really super sure the background. Like my parents are my like ancestry is like English and German, but I don't know where the last name really originated from.
I'm
How sorry, Matt. I'll ask this and then we're going to go one for one for questions. We get overexcited when we get guests. Um, how many generations have your parents lived in Canada? And am I correct? You're in Vancouver Island?
I'm on Vancouver Island, yeah, the west coast of Vancouver Island. My grandpa on my mom's side, he was a whale researcher, so he kind of grew up like following whales across the west coast. So he was like down in Baja and then would follow them all the way up to where I live now in Tofino. So he was kind of here in the summers during the 60s, 70s sort of thing. But he was American and he was kind of just like traveling up and down and like wasn't a full resident here. And then my mom lived here during like summers when she was a kid and then but she was actually born in the States. And then my auntie was born where I live now. Just that was kind of the way it worked out when my grandpa had kids. And then my mom when she met my dad in university. My dad's Canadian, but from the interior, from Ontario, like no coastline out there. And when they met, they were kind of like, where do we want to have kids? And they decided to have kids here. But my dad, I think, is like, he's only second generation Canadian. So I'd be third generation Canadian. Yeah, third generation Canadian. My parents are both from the States, sort of.
unreal. I mean, I was going to say I'm pretty impressed with Darren's first time pronunciation of your name as well, because I was avoiding that. I was like, I'm not gonna butcher that. A whale researcher, that's unbelievable. So,
Fuck
Yeah.
yeah.
He was like an underwater whale photographer and researcher kind of.
Whoa.
Yeah, so there's this photo we have on our wall of like him swimming with this big gray whale with like I've kind of gotten into shooting with like film now and he used to shoot film back in the day like underwater which must have just been wild like barely any technology. It's pretty cool. Like I went into his basement in his house a couple months ago and it's just like stacks and stacks and rolls of film. It's wild.
that's
Well,
unreal.
we'll get to that, but does that mean does that give you some sort of like obligation to be an adventurer, which is what you're becoming?
Yeah, I don't know if it gave me obligation, but it might have maybe inspired me a little bit. I think kind of just the place that I've grown up in is like so surrounded by beautiful places and like beautiful things that take a lot of effort to get to. So I think that's kind of shaped me into who I've become. But I'm sure that like having that lineage of adventure definitely helped maybe.
Yeah, that was. that was something I was going to ask you actually. Weirdly, it's gone straight into it. Is we've had a couple of guests recently, Aidan Massenkamp, who's from South Africa,
Yeah.
and Noah Lane from Ireland, and there's this really strong feeling from them that although the world has so many great waves and places to travel, their home is just packed full of spots that are yet like that aren't fulfilled in their mind yet. And like obviously following you and watching all your stuff, you obviously do a lot of exploration, but quite like localized to yourself as well. Do you have that kind of feeling as well where you're almost like, well, I could go to Indo or Bali or whatever, but also I could go explore unridden waves or like, you, does that make sense?
Yeah, I feel like everyone probably like every surfer has that knows that feeling like scoring at home just feels so much more special than scoring anywhere else. I think probably because like we know especially here like our home doesn't get that good that often and to get it really good is just like so special. And it's wild like the world feels so big but the island that I live on it's actually a relatively big island like it would be comparable to like two Oahu's or three Oahu's even like it's big and it has these crazy fjords and like inlets and everything so the coast is just impossible to access like where I live in Tofino is one of two places on the island that you can drive straight to the coast and get a surfable wave whereas everywhere else is just like unknown. There's logging roads that get you close to the coast and then you're hiking or you're trying to take a boat or try and find someone with a plane or a helicopter or something. So like I just think that like the aspect of it being so hard just is so inviting to me for some reason. And the fact that no one's really done it. You know, there's been such a cool generation before me that has discovered so much, but like I said, the island's just so vast that I know that there's a lot more to be discovered, which is pretty cool.
Am I right then in saying Pete DeVries is an inspiration mentor to you?
Oh,
Same area,
100%.
isn't it?
Yeah, I Pete DeVries and then like Raf Breweiler and Seth Breweiler, and then Jeremy Koreski, who's a photographer. They kind of pioneered it and really put it on the map. There was a generation before, like my grandpa's generation, so like him and a couple friends and Pete's dad, they kind of really like broke ground, and then Raf and Seth and Pete just like took it to a whole new level for sure.
Have you ever had it with like your grandpa or one of the inspirations where you think you've discovered you kind of thought, oh, I've unlocked this place, and then you go to tell them and be like, oh, you need to, and they're like, yeah, been there.
Yeah, I actually had that with Raf when I was younger. There's like this little slab kind of pretty close to where we live. Like you can sort of walk out to it, but it's barely even a wave. It's like this little rock in the middle of the ocean. And I was telling him about it. I was like, yeah, like I was so stoked. We just like rolled up on this little thing. Like it's not really that good of a wave, but like I got a little tube out there, and it's just like that's the first wave that I've actually like discovered on my own. And he's like, I surfed that when I was 14.
Yeah.
Hey,
Classic.
I saw that. That's how we ended up reaching out to you. I saw that video.
Mhm.
I don't know if you know which one, but it's the left slab, and you went with three mates, so there was the four ears,
Yeah.
and so I was watching this, and I thought I don't know how it came up in my feed, but we understand the algorithms of surfing, etc. And I just wanted to look at it straight away because it said adventure, etc. And
Mhm.
then I was like, oh yeah, this is kind of like just average intermediate surfers like myself and stuff. And then I was seeing the Rip Curl stickers on your board. And I was thinking, oh, he must be. And that's how I linked back and went and tracked you down because I was like, I come from an area where there's some really, really, really good tube riders. And I was watching that thing and I was going, how come they're not pulling in or anything? But then after I watched it a little bit more, it's pretty fucking gnarly wave to pull in off takeoff, isn't it?
We probably looked like such kooks in that we were so bummed. Like we've surfed that wave a couple times, a bit smaller, and it's actually a really fun wave. It's hard to surf, but it's when it's a little bit smaller and shorter period, it's really fun. And then that day, we knew it was going to be big, and we kind of were just like, we might as well go and see what it's like. And it was messed up. Like, yeah, it's funny watching clips or looking at photos after, and the wave looks so surfable. The way it comes in, though, it like comes in like a normal wave and you're like, oh sweet, I'm on, and then it kind of backs off a bit and then does this thing where it like turns into a full-blown triangle and there's just no entry. Like you think you're under the lip and then all of a sudden you're on top of the lip, especially like at that size. There's a couple boogie boarders that go up there, um, who originally kind of like pioneered it a while ago, and they charge it, especially at that size. It's wild to watch. But they're even like taking off on the shoulder and like maybe ducking in for like a little tube. They're still like not quite backdooring it. So I'd love to go at that size and like give it a solid go. It's also just like a really hard wave to get because it's that wave's 10 hours drive from where I live and then a 2 hour hike. So, and it only breaks at a certain tide window, which is like an hour and a half. So, if you're going, you're literally driving 20 hours and hiking four for an hour and a half. And once that hour and a half is over, you're like, all right, didn't quite figure it out. Maybe next time. And then, so it's just like hard to really figure the actual reef out.
So funny how we're so weird as surfers that we like, and to us, like all it would take is one 10-second wave, and that makes that whole trip worth it
Oh,
as well.
100%. And none of us got it that trip.
And yeah, what I wanted to kind of put him because when I watched that clip, because Darren put me onto it, the one thing that so I'm in England and I don't this is where I wanted to ask because it's pumping through our winter and I'm fed up of it at the moment. But like I surfed a pretty no, well-known wave this weekend where it gets like pretty it's a fast it's like hollow and fast, right? And you got to pop quick and get to your feet quick and stuff. And I get fed up because like on Sunday, for example, I was in 5 mil boots, 5 mil mitts, 5 mil wetsuit and a hood.
Mm.
And I just can't help but to feel that that is restricting me. And then I watch like the guys at Pipe or whatever, and obviously that's a different level and it's incredible, but they're in boardies and Arashi and stuff. And then when I watched your stuff, I was like, this guy's in the same wetsuit as me. Like, so what are you rocking? I noticed you're in the Rip Curl Fusion.
Yeah.
How thick is yours?
That one's a 5'4".
Yeah.
I pretty much stick to the 5'4" on the West Coast. Like the East Coast of Canada, I'll definitely go 6 mil because it's the Atlantic, like it gets a lot colder. But yeah, I do 5'4" suit, and then I've been rocking 5 mil boots lately. People normally wear sevens here, but I kind of like the feeling on my feet to have thinner booties. Like I'd rather my feet be a little cold and have more feeling on the deck. And
Yeah.
then I wear 8 mil like lobsters when it's really cold, or just 5 mil like five finger gloves.
What's
Oh
the
yeah,
water
yeah.
temperature then in Celsius?
Right now it's probably 7.
7.
Yeah,
And you're in
seven
a
or eight.
5'3".
Yeah, 5'4". Yeah. It's funny, like it's kind of temperate where I live. It's probably similar. It's honestly probably similar to England. What's in water there?
Yeah, I was gonna say on Sunday the water was 8 degrees and then the wind chill was -3.
Yeah. So
It was
yeah, it's
horrible.
like similar. That day that we were there, the wind chill was probably it was probably -6 or something. Like it wasn't crazy cold, but it was just really windy. We get this crazy outflow because we have mountains like just up the back, kind of right here. So the wind just funnels down all the valleys, like down the fjords, and it'll gust 30 knots every morning if it's cold, and just be like brutal -15 wind chill. And then by midday, it'll like warm up to like 4 or 5 kind of.
And is that your
Ah,
setup? Is that your wetsuit setup for the year, or do you get warmer?
I wear like a flash bomb 4-3 hooded in the summer, and then no
Oh wow,
gloves
okay.
and 3 mil boots.
I feel like for the first time ever, I'm speaking to like I feel a little bit like oh yeah, in the summer I get to wear a free too, no boots and gloves. I feel
You
like
guys can go 3 too, hey?
in the summer it gets warm. Yeah, we have
Yeah.
like really big fluctuations. Like the winter, it's yeah, it will get down to like 7. Even South Coast here, it will go like 6 degrees. Um, but then the same spot in the summer will be 19.
Oh, wild. Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
go much here. It's pretty temperate. Like it probably would warm up to max like 12, 13.
Jesus, I'm in subtropical compared to you guys then. Because we get 20, 22 on an extreme summer we might get 24 for like a week or something. But but yeah, like winter we're like 11 or 12, and that's for what, 4 months, something like that. But you can get by. Like I didn't wear gloves this winter, so let's say it was a pretty good winter.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
But I didn't surf those coldest mornings that we had 2 cold weeks, and I didn't surf those mornings. I was sick, so I missed one of the what do you call it, wave swell events that we had.
Was so the swell that you guys just got, that was a Nazare toe swell, the same one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're kind of where I am is facing the same as Nazare, and down there, obviously, it wasn't as big here as it was there, but it was still, I think it still would have been 15 foot plus out front of Sinos where my cafe is and stuff. But I went south, and it was 15-foot faces on this reef. So where that Nazare just kind of doubles,
Just funnels it, yeah.
yeah, it just doubles everything.
Wild. Crazy.
So with this setup, we was talking, and me and Daz love to talk about this, and I've already clocked it. But you're on JS as well, boards.
Yeah, I've been super lucky. I like Pete kind of made the connection with them, and then I was riding local shapers boards till I was 16, 17, maybe even 18, which I loved them. Like I had a great relationship with him, and he taught me like so much about actual boards because I was able to be in the shaping bay with him, and then I kind of like felt like I needed a change and to try other stuff and tried like some Mayhems, tried some Pizels and some JSs, and then honestly just like loved the like crew behind JS, like the people, and we just like hit it off. And then it kind of took a bit to dial in boards, but once we got them dialed in, I just like love them so much. They're like their grovelers are so sick for like QSs that I do, and for like around here in the summer, their like carbon technology is unreal. And then I just got a batch of shortboards that I love, and yeah, it's just been really cool to like grow a relationship with the shaper outside of Canada.
Well, hey, what I wanted to ask, because I've got two sons. The older one used to surf once a winter, once a summer, and
Yeah.
the younger one surfs more, but not really. And I'm going to Australia tomorrow for a few weeks, and I I've still got this dream that that'll take hold of him. How did fucking what age and how did you do that living there? Like, I already think it's hard here for a kid.
Yeah.
It's
Uh,
only the extreme kids like yourself that can actually do it.
yeah, I think it was cool. Like my parents were like are have always been and were like super outdoorsy, so they would just take. I have a younger sister who's 2 years younger than me, and they just kind of take us to the beach and we'd like play around, like build sandcastles. I had this like truck that I'd just drive down the beach, like this little like push toy truck, and I think like that kind of grew into like us just being on the beach, being like, what's going on out there, pretty much, because there's people splashing around. And then my parents were like, oh, yeah, like my mom surfed when she was a kid and then kind of stopped. And my dad wasn't really a surfer, but we like, it's such a tight-knit community that they had friends that were surfers, and then their friends would have like had kids that were our age. And I think we just had a cool little Grom pack growing up. And it's like winters are pretty dismal here. Like it gets dark at like 4:30 kind of thing, and it doesn't get light till 8:30. Like there's not really much you can do, and it's rainy all the time. So, when you're in a wetsuit, the rain doesn't matter. So I think it was kind of just like an outlet for us as kids, like it was like going to soccer practice or something like that, even because there wasn't really any organized sports. And as a kid, you just kind of want something to get all your energy out with. And that kind of just grew into us getting better and better. And then there's one local contest every year that I think I entered probably when I was 11 or 12, and didn't do that well. But there was a pack kind of ahead of me that was maybe 4 or 5 years older, and they pushed me. And then by 15, I think I was like kind of starting to beat them, and then like kind of was looking up to Pete and Raph and Sepp and all them, and just loved it. Like I feel like you just couldn't really pull me out of the water. And I think I ended up going down to California because my mom kind of sort of is from there. So we'd go down there, and I met like some kids from SoCal, and yeah, it just grew. It just kept growing. And then by the time I was 17, I think my parents kind of didn't know that it was even a profession necessarily, and they were like, "Fuck, this might be something that like he could do like for a living, I guess." And then I was making money at 17, and they were like, "What the heck is this? Like this kid's getting money. Like I
For
think we should
having fun.
take this. We should maybe take this seriously." Like I was working jobs, summer jobs, and like as every kid does. And then I think by the end of my grade 11, I like quit my summer job and started doing surfing full time, and that was when I like really took it seriously.
Yeah. And your current national champ?
Current national champ, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask as well, you like obviously like we spoke about, you do a lot of adventuring around your own neck of the woods, but last summer you were over in Munich as well?
Yeah, I went over to the O2 Surf Town wave pool. There's a Canadian guy that's part of the company, and they want to try and build one over here on the West Coast, like in Vancouver in the city. So they were kind of like wanting to get some hype up for the technology, and flew me out, and it was so sick, like hanging with CJ Hobgood and like Ian Gentile and Oliver Kurtz, and then I got to meet Mikey Febb and surf with him and stuff, and then fuck, it was just unreal. I like couldn't wipe a smile off my face the whole time. Like surfing perfect waves with a world champ was crazy. And
Yeah.
CJ, like CJ doesn't feel at all like you're with a world champ because he's just laughing and like joking around the whole time. And like it felt like he was more of a kid than I was at like in that pool, which was just unreal. Like it was the craziest experience in my life.
He'll have a chat with you too, won't he, CJ? I met him a few times because I used to manage a surfboard factory, and we'd make boards for him. And he'd
Oh,
walk
shit.
in and talk to you like he'd known you for ages.
Oh,
Hey,
exactly. That's the best part about him, I feel like sometimes you get that idea in your head about someone who's had that much success in a profession, and you're kind of like, why would he want to talk to me type thing? And then he just gives everyone the time of day. It's so sick.
hey, sorry, Matt, I'm jumping the gun because actually that wasn't my question, which is, well, so what do your parents do there then in
My
this
my
secluded area of the world?
my dad was a web designer, so he like there's it's a where I live is kind of a resort town sort of thing. Like in the summer it gets pretty busy, so he was kind of got into web design early and did like a lot of the resorts websites and restaurants and all that. And then he recently kind of got bored of doing that, just sitting at a desk doing computer work. So he became a elementary school teacher and does that now. And then my mom was a massage therapist and yoga teacher for like 20, 30 years, and now she just runs an Airbnb on our property. So pretty modest jobs, but very like based around tourism kind of. There's a lot of visitors that visit here.
Sounds like it's a pretty good balance as well, though. Like not just slogging yourself to work, 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 work as well.
Yeah, I was lucky like when I was younger when I was like 12 or 13 they'd travel with me a little bit down to California, and then I was lucky I like built a relationship with a coach who's Aussie but married a Canadian woman here, and he would kind of travel with me like through my teens, and then I got pretty independent by like 15, 16, and just would do it on my own. And like my parents would have to write me like a little slip to cross the US border just to that's pretty much just says this kid's not running away from us. Like we know what he's doing.
So how old are you now?
I'm 21. I just turned 21 last week.
So
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You can drink.
I
yeah,
know, finally in the US. It's 19 here, so
Okay.
I've been legal forever.
That's right. That's right. Sorry, sorry.
Yeah, but in the States, it's such a weird thing. Like being
How,
able
so is Victoria the capital of Vancouver Island?
Victoria is the capital of British Columbia, so the
Okay.
province. And Victoria is on the island, the southern tip of the island.
How far is that to you?
It's like a 5 hour drive.
Okay, my brother-in-law, I think has got cousins there. Him and my sister-in-law, they went there years ago, and like I remember scouting it out, and I was saying to them, "Well, I might come,"
Yeah, it's
but
sweet there. It's such a cool city, like very, it's a university city, and there's actually like because of like the Commonwealth and all that, there's lots of like British influence there. Like that's where the Parliament is, and there's like still one crazy old like English hotel there that's really cool. It's super sweet, that city.
It'll be interesting to visit as an English guy. I might have to come over. So what are your plans then? Like, so obviously, do you have any like big plans for big trips or like, what can we expect to see?
Yeah, a lot of the travel I do outside of Canada is just for contests, like for QSs. So I'll go at the end of the month I'll go to Florida and then Barbados and then California for three QSs, which is kind of my main focus right now. Like that I want to make the tour. I want to be the first Canadian on the world tour. I guess second now that Aaron is Canadian, but first first Canadian born and raised on the on the tour. And then yeah, like I just started doing YouTube, so that video that you guys would have seen was my second video that I filmed. So I was really stoked that it got the traction that it did. It just kind of hit the algorithm right and did well. And I'm gonna continue to do that. I missed last week because I was away on a trip filming locally here. But I want to try and do a video every week of just like little shenanigans that we do like that slab because we do so much cool stuff. And a lot of the time, I'll just film the actual session and post like reels on Instagram. And I just kind of was like, we do so much to get to these places and like so see so many crazy things that don't involve the surf like on our adventure. And I think it's just been cool to like, I don't know, I'm not really a video guy necessarily, but I've been working with like an editor and her and I just like kind of had ideas bouncing off each other and it's all became a reality now. And yeah, it's been really fun to play around with editing and just create something that I think people are gonna like.
And there's an audience there for you. There's an audience because it's just extreme.
Yeah,
And like, it's easy to come out with a video if you live in a beach like Hawaii, for example, all their vlogs and everything. But for example, the Hawaiian ones, there's what, let's say 10. They're all relatively the same.
yeah.
Huh?
And we see those crazy pipe waves when we wake up in the morning, posted on Instagram. And yeah, the stuff I do here is like barely, it's not even, I wouldn't even necessarily call it surfing, like all the adventures. It's just like it's just getting lost in the forest pretty much.
But that's the thing is when you actually I'm glad you said that because when you actually think about it, Nathan Florence's most successful videos are when he's actually doing something different. So like Ireland, Scotland,
Yeah.
like people always talk about the slab tour and stuff, but it's when he's in a wetsuit and he's having to hike. Ben Gravy, who I hate, but his most like popular novelty waves. Like you look at Dylan Graves, like built a whole thing around surfing shit waves, like,
Yeah.
but he presents it well. And I completely agree with Darren. Like the audience is definitely there, and like I guess there's like you're filming it anyway. What have you got to lose by chucking it onto YouTube? And fingers crossed, with the way it's going, YouTube can become a proper revenue source. Yeah.
Exactly. And that wasn't really what I thought to begin with. Like it was more of just another thing for my audience. But yeah, it's quickly became a reality that I could like start making money off of YouTube. It's funny too, like you said, it's like you film the sessions anyways, and then I just carry around my iPhone and film like horizontal, like little just us talking or driving or whatever. And it's honestly like it's not that much work filming it. It's just the editing is pretty long and gruesome, but the winters are pretty long and you're inside a lot, so it's just something to do.
So,
Yeah.
so you're not going to university or anything?
No, I like kind of plan to in my later years. I think I just feel like I kind of have an opportunity here, and if I were to go to school, I'd be, 40 looking back and wish that I
Fuck
tried my
yeah.
best. And
No.
I'm just giving it my all right now and focusing 110% on surfing. And if I get to a point where I don't like it or I can't do it anymore as far as like money goes, then I'll reset and go to school and get a big boy job. But yeah, I have an opportunity right now and I'm gonna try my hardest.
That's the right way to do it. That's the right way. Are you going to plan on kind of filming and continuing your kind of YouTube journey when you go to comps as well, so you can get that side of it?
I've kind of bounced around with the idea. I'm gonna see. I don't know. I just don't know if that's really appealing. Like there, I think like I don't know if you guys know Zeke, that Zekeli guy.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
kind of does
yeah.
that on the QS, and like I don't know. I just think that the stuff that I do here is so true to me, and the QS
Yeah,
stuff
yeah. I
necessarily.
agree with that.
Yeah. So like I've done a lot of work in the last 3 weeks to have a bunch of videos stacked while I'm away for the next 2 months, and I think I'll just I think I'll just try and stick to stuff at home or just cold water. I think it's going to be cold water
Mm.
related no matter what, pretty much.
I like the answer to that. I was kind of hoping that was going to be your answer as
Yeah.
well, because sometimes you can try and do too much, and um, you know, by the sounds of it, you have a grasp of what you want to show of yourself, but also what your audience already want to like. You what essentially what your own brand is, and I think that's so much more refreshing because, like you say, Zeke, and you look at like Callum Robson, blah blah blah. There's now 20 guys vlogging a QS.
Yeah, and like Callum Robson and like Griff and all those guys, like they're way better surfers than me. Like if you're gonna watch like someone going like doing the circuit, you're gonna want to watch them. Like I want to watch them, you know?
Yeah,
Hey,
but then
so
again, from me and Darren, sorry, Daz, I'll jump in. I owed you one. And from mine and Darren's point of view, we would prefer to watch you because I'm seeing a guy in cold water in a thick wetsuit, like and more of the adventure side of it, which is how what we do. I don't go and do comps. Darren doesn't go. Well, he does one comp. But yeah, so I think actually to to show what's more appealing, I'd rather watch a video where that's happening than Griff going to surf perfect J Bay.
Yeah, and it's like like you said, it's relatable for some people, and that which makes it interesting to watch, and then to other people, it's just so foreign, which also makes it cool to watch. So yeah,
Yeah.
like I said, it wasn't really something that I planned to do super seriously, but it's just like a fun thing and another thing to kind of show people what we do up here.
hey, so my most important question, and I nearly forgot it, and I was desperate. That's why nearly cut Matt off again. Is have you seen bears then when you've gone surfing?
Oh yeah.
Fuck, that's what I want to know about. That's what I want to see. So what do you do?
The bears, so we have black bears here. We don't have grizzlies on the island. The grizzlies are the gnarly ones. Like
Okay,
they'll actually hunt you down and like
eat ya.
they're going for people. Whereas black bears are kind of like lollygaggy chill. They eat like fish and crabs off the beach and berries, but they get close. Like they're not scared. They know that they're big and they know that they can mess you up if you want to. Like there's been lots of times where you're camping and you'll hear them outside your tent and you'll kind of just go back to sleep and kind of not think about it. There's one time I was on a trip with Pete DeVries and we we heard we were both in separate tents and we both heard it in the middle of the night. Like we were on like a cobblestone beach, so the rocks were pretty loud and woke up the next morning and Pete's wetsuit had been shredded to bits, like because it smelled like piss or whatever. I think the bear was like, "Oh, this must be like a rotting animal or something," and just was clawing it to bits, bite marks everywhere, and then a big bear shit right beside. It was pretty funny. He was like, "But this is a brand new wetsuit, just torn to shreds."
So
But there's
could he still surf?
he had another suit thing
Okay.
behind it. It was firing too. I thought it was pretty hilarious. But yeah, we're not really super worried about bears. The main thing here are the cougars. They'll get you for sure. There's been quite a few cougar attacks on the island, and I think might have to look this up, but I'm pretty sure that the island where we live has the highest density of cougars in the world. Like there's just they're always around, but they're super like secretive kind of. So you never really know when they're close to you because they'll just sneak up on you like because they're cats. They're not little, but they're cats, so they're super quiet. There's been one around our house lately. I walked out to load the truck the other morning at 4 a.m. and I heard one screeching. They make this like death screech when they're like scared, I think, or something. and it literally puts shivers down your back, your hair stands up, and they put off this like scent, this musky scent that just stinks, and it's the creepiest thing. Those are the ones that like just freak me out.
So what do you put? Do you carry guns with you?
We don't carry guns. Like I carry a knife and kind of just like
Yeah,
hope.
that'll help you with a big black bear.
You kind of just hope for the best, honestly. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you're just I think I've grown up just being told that we live around them all the
Mm,
time. Like people have lived around them for years, like the First Nations have lived with them here forever. And they know that we're here and we know that they're there, and we kind of do our separate things and don't mess with each other. And it's like kind of like just an unwritten thing that if you don't mess with them, they don't mess with you pretty much. But
And
it's always on your mind, kind of.
yeah, is there any in water worry? I know a few people who surf in Scotland and stuff, and that like at certain times they have orcas, and we've got this humpback whale that's just cruising Cornwall at the moment, which is amazing. But do you have do you have any in water
Yeah,
stuff?
there was an orca while I was surfing last week on this boat trip. It was pretty kind of far out the back, but their dorsal fins are so big you can see it. I was actually surfing
whoa.
on my own. I like paddled out at this new little wave that we thought was kind of a wave and just caught a couple and then saw the fin, and there was a couple sea lions around me that they feed on. So I was kind of just like, yeah, I'm out of here sort of thing. Don't want to like get in the middle of something. They're such smart creatures though. Like I don't know, they're probably one of the smartest creatures in the ocean. Like they know their surroundings and they know what's food and what's not food. And I think I think there hasn't ever been a orca attack in the wild ever. So I kind of try and think about that, but they're around like all the time. You'll see them chasing seals and like they'll fuck with seals and just flip them up all the
Yeah.
time, flip them out of the water and play with them. It was really cool on the last trip after I got out of the water. We were going to another wave and kind of like came up behind an orca. Like we didn't really realize it, but it was in front of us, and we just shut the engine off and floated beside it for like an hour. It was wild, just sitting on the roof of the boat watching this thing. It'll be in the next video, or maybe not in the next one, but 2 weeks from now. It'll
Sick.
be coming out. It was super, super cool. Like just so special. They're such big creatures that just have this like peaceful presence kind of.
Soup bowls,
Yeah.
backhand for you. Yes.
Yeah. I'd say
Have,
my backhand's probably my strong point too. Like I'm a pretty big kid. Like I'm 6'4", like 195 kind of thing. So I'm pretty heavy, can throw spray. So I kind of like chuck it up vertical and throw the tail and kind of like try and draw inspiration from like a Houseman or someone like that. I think he did pretty well out there a couple of years ago. But yeah, it's a fun wave to surf. Like the thing literally is a bowl, just bends right back at you and allows you these like buttery little sections to throw the tail.
Yeah, I think last year at that QS, it wasn't like classic soup bowls either, was it? It was a
It's
bit,
tiny, so
yeah.
small. Yeah.
Because I think I remember because I watched we watched at that time I was working for Skin Dog and we watched the event and stuff, and I think I remember like seeing you in a few heats and a couple of the others in a few heats and like big guys trying to make this work on.
Yeah. I had a really good groveler for that event, which I was really happy on. Like I ended up getting second in the junior QS of that one, and then I think I lost in round of 32 of men's or something, but I was just really lucky. We barely even ever bring grovelers to that event because it's normally like head high and powerful. But I was coming from Florida, so I had a groveler, thank God, and yeah, it just felt really good out there.
so
Yeah,
what's the best wave you've ever traveled to?
That's a good question. Probably honestly locally. I mean, like Lowers is pretty sweet, but I hate the crowd there. And then like there's a wave here that we've kind of just broken into that hasn't really been showed on the internet yet, but it's best wave I've ever surfed. I got the wave of my life there this winter, and I haven't posted anywhere, but I was pretty stoked. So probably locally, honestly. Like I've done QSs in Australia, did like ISA Worlds in Japan and Portugal, and then lots of time in California. Never been to Hawaii, but yeah, just I think locally, just because we put the effort in, is probably where I've got the best waves.
That's pretty sick. That's really cool.
Have you surfed that? I don't want you to give away secrets or anything, but Peter DeVries surfs a right-hander in a rhythm out where they film from the other side of, or is it a fjord? I don't know what you call it. And he's
It's like a
into a
fjord.
tube.
Yeah, it's like a fjord inlet. You can kind of see mountains in the background.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I surfed there last week on our little boat trip. That'll be coming out on YouTube in 2 weeks. But yeah, we go up there. It's really hard to get to. It's like it's like a 3 hour boat ride around this like crazy peninsula that's just super just draws in weather systems and gets super gnarly. So it's a really annoying to go to, and the wind that you need to go there is like the worst wind for being in a boat. So you get little weather windows every once in a while. Like it's probably good. It's honestly probably good 150, 200 days out of the year. Like it breaks all the time and the wind's good for it all the time. It's just you can't get there.
And
Um,
no one lives there on land or anything like that.
no, it's about as far from a road as you could possibly get. Like you can't drive within from the main connection of roads on the island, you can't drive within 100, 200 kilometers of it on a
There's
road.
there's
Yeah.
not some sort of cabin that someone's just said, fucking we'll build a cabin
No.
and
We'll camp out there for a couple of days sometimes if there's a window that looks good to drive a boat and then a window in a couple of days that would be good for surfing. But just leaving your boat there is a bit hectic too, like on anchor. The anchor will drag and boat will go into the rocks and then you're stuck out there. So it's just
heavy.
like it's yeah, I wish we could go there every day, but it's just you can't.
Just a mission. And expensive, I guess, with the boats and everything like that.
Yeah, like
Petrol?
yeah, gas is pretty expensive. I'm lucky, like, I got passed down my grandpa's boat that he had up here when he was filming whales. So I have this little 17-foot Boston whaler with I repowered it. So I have a new engine and it handles in sloppy stuff really well. And you just suit up in all your rain gear, put a wetsuit on, life jacket, have your radios on you and lighter and fire starter in your pocket in case you get thrown out of the boat and kind of just like beat through it and try and surf for 2 hours and then go back and beat through it again. It's pretty brutal, but yeah, like I said, the adventure side of it is just what's so appealing. And you surf it with no one out, which is unreal.
It's just phenomenal that this is why I love surfing and love surfers is that if I was to say to like my missus now, yeah, like just had a chat with this kid and this is the lengths he goes to go surf, she'd be baffled. She'd be like, why? Like
Yeah,
why? Like why? He's
exactly.
cold.
Why? I asked
And I'm
myself
like,
that same question.
but I'm sitting here and I'm like, I want to come and do it. Like, do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
it's
It's
we're a weird bunch of people.
Especially when you're going with your three mates that I saw in the forward drive. You just must piss yourself laughing all the time.
the guy that the Aussie kid in that video I posted the unsurfable slab um is just so hilarious. He's like a little ball of energy and just laughs 24/7. Like I went on one with him where we tried to break trail, like cut a trail 20 kilometers from this road down to the beach and we spent a day and a half cutting this trail and flagging it and then hiked down the next day with surfboards and got down there and there was no waves and then hiked back and slept 2 nights pissing rain on a logging road in a tent middle of nowhere, didn't surf and then drove 10 hours home and I was like that was still a fun trip, didn't surf, got skunked, slept in a fucking puddle the whole time and got drenched soaking wet and just blisters on our feet, but it was still just so fun. It's super cool when you have those people where no matter what it's a fun trip.
Can we get you back for another episode where we just do an episode on one of your trips?
Yeah, for sure, that'd be sweet.
Fuck yeah. That's like we can live the adventure like an audio book.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of crazy stories. Lots of stories of us getting skunked for sure.
Hey, so we have this new segment that we came up with this year, which is called Kook or Core. Now, I'll get to it. Did you watch the pool competition?
Mhm. Yeah, a little bit.
Okay,
Not.
so Kook or Core, WCT in the pool.
Wait, what is it? Pook or core?
No,
Kook,
Kook,
Kook.
Kook or Core for hardcore or Kook.
I'd say kook.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Did you
like
enjoy it? Did you enjoy it?
I I enjoy watching the finals. Like certain people out there is really cool. It's just like it gets boring, you know? Like there's like 90% of those people in that pool do the same turn over and over, and then you're like, oh, now it's the barrel section. And it's like come out, do a blowtail. And then there's those certain people like your Italo, your Katie, um, Jackson Bunch this year, like who mix it up and do cool stuff, and that's fun to watch. But to watch like 30 hours of people doing the same thing just for like three waves that look sick is pretty brutal, I find. Like
I- I'm,
rather
I'm not
watch
su
them.
I'm not
I'd rather
surprised you
watch
said
them
that.
at like shit Margaret River or something, you know? At least it's interesting. At least you don't know what's gonna happen next. But on the other hand, I see why they're doing it, you know, like they've brought so much more money into the industry, and I'm grateful that they're doing that. And like the be all end all is that the money is or the industry is struggling really hard right now, and you know to bring any funding that they can bring back into the industry is helpful to everybody. And it like yeah, it's boring for everyone to watch, but if they have an extra 3 mil or whatever because of it, like who cares, you know? They're able to run an extra two events this year, maybe because of the funding that they got in Abu Dhabi. And yeah, I'm
Yeah.
willing to suck it up for one event to get two more extra ones, you know?
I think for me, I've just watched the part one of the natural selection. And I think that loads of people are talking about, oh, this is a game changer, blah, blah, blah. And in my personal opinion, it won't have a single effect on the WSL. But what they should learn, the biggest thing they should learn is the wave pool event that they ran, especially in Abu Dhabi, put a complete media blackout on it, film it, package it up, and deliver the event to us in a 1.5 hour package
Yeah,
over 2 days, where
yeah,
you don't have to cut the weights in between and like make it slick. And because I enjoyed the pool event this year compared to Lemoore,
for
but it was
sure.
still so long. And I'm like, I just, I watched the natural selection thing and I think it's amazing because they have an hour heat that actually you watch within 15 minutes.
Yeah,
Um, so
It's pretty hard to watch a full comp at any of the comps every heat
true.
anyway. Huh?
yeah. And the
Unless you
cool thing
look.
about like your package idea is you have this package of media that's already filmed, it's already commentated, it's produced, it's edited, it's everything. And they can be like they can bring that to a brand and be like, "Look, we have this. Do you want to put your name on it for X amount of money?" And then it's like they have something already to show. It's not a gamble. You know, it's
Yeah,
not like it's not Rip Curl putting a bunch of money into this vent where it could be flat and shit. You know, they already have all these waves filmed that no one's seen before. They can just
yeah.
literally hand it off to a brand,
And
which
literally, like, I agree. Like, they could have gone to O'Neill and been like, look, keep it under wraps, but Katie wins. So
yeah,
Katie's an O'Neill rider, pay more for it. You've got a guaranteed winner of the event, but it's after
sure.
the fact.
Or bring it to
Um,
Red Bull. You know, both their athletes won.
well, yeah, and Nike, like
Yeah, yeah.
Nike,
What is that concoction that you're drinking, Ray?
It's lemon water, maple or it's lemon, maple syrup, and water and a little bit of sea salt. I call it Canadian Aid. It's like Gatorade, but like natural. It kind of just like gets me going for the day. Like
And
I'm
you
ready to
made that
go.
yourself in your
Yeah,
jar.
just
You mixed it
just
up
lemon.
like it.
Yeah, just lemon juice, maple syrup, and water and sea salt for a little electrolytes. Just kind of
Wow,
like wakes me up and makes me feeling good kind of every morning. My trainer got me on it. He was an NHL coach, and I guess they would all drink it in the morning. And
oh, nice.
it tastes really good too.
Might have to try it.
Yeah.
I actually have a Kook or Core that I was saving for a different one, but I think Darren's one's quite uh, black and white, and I think I would like to ask you this one, and it might not be something that you've come across, but then I can ask you and get Darren's opinion on it as well, because I've seen it a few times in the last couple of weeks, and it's really getting on my nerves. So, um, in the UK, we have a secondhand surfboards sale page on Facebook. And for some reason, what a lot of people have been doing lately is listing a board for sale, and they'll put a photo of the front of the board and the back of the board, and then they put a photo of them surfing with on the advert. What's your opinions on someone doing that?
Uh, Depends on the surfer. Like kook if it's someone just like going down the line, but if if you're selling me like a board that looks like shit and then you see a fucking photo of Jordy doing a rail carve on it, you're like, yeah, sign me up. I'll pay 800 for that thing, you know?
Yeah,
But I,
most of the time it's the first part of
I was gonna
that.
say it's probably not the latter. So yeah, I'd say kook. It's like it's similar. Have you ever seen those photos where like someone's trying to sell a mirror and they're like taking
Yeah,
a
yeah, that's
photo of the mirror?
yeah,
Those are so funny. Like someone trying to like hide
yeah,
like behind the mirror and then taking a photo of it, like use mirror $30 or whatever.
yeah.
I, I don't know. You don't need to show yourself surfing on that thing.
I've done it, boys. So I'm the kook then. Huh?
Really?
I've fucking done it heaps of times because I've sold a lot of my boards over. I'm older than you guys, and I just have. It just so happens that I surf a couple of spots that are quite photogenic, and I end up getting. It's not me doing maneuvers. It's like I'm selling guns or something where you got a 10 foot offshore wave, and I just say perfect whatever and stuff. But
Yeah, I mean,
I always felt a kook doing it. Don't worry, I felt a kook doing it. But I'm like, if this sells the board, this will sell the board. It's
that's what I was
proof.
gonna say. If it
It's
sells it, it
proof.
sells it.
Yeah, it's proof
Yeah.
that that board actually has been in the water. But I have felt like a kook doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it just proves that thing could be on a 10-foot face and handle.
There, there you go. There you go. Fuck, well, thanks so much for joining us, Reed. So, are you surfing today? Did you say
Yeah,
was it?
me and Pete are going out to a spot right now. The wind should switch and like just looking at the trees out my window. I think wind is like about to switch in the next 15 minutes. Like I'll be walking out the door in 15 here
Oh, fuck
and
yeah. Good
hopefully
on
some
you.
tubes. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see.
Well, as Darren said, thanks so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope we keep in contact and get you back for a couple more episodes for sure. So,
Yeah,
um,
thank you guys for having a platform for me to tell my story. It's really sweet.
no, sick. We'll get it like edited and live, and then when it goes live, we'll message and tag you in it as well. So yeah,
Amazing.
If
Sweet.
you can, if you can, what do you call it, Matt, when they participate with it?
collaborate.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
collab on
Collab,
it for sure. Yeah.
collaborate.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
I'm old school. Fuck. Thanks, Reed, and have an epic adventure over the next for your traveling competitions and stuff. Good
Yeah, cheers.
luck.
Thank
Good
you
luck,
guys
huh?
so much. I'm stoked to chat again whenever.
thanks so much. Have a great day.
Double
Cheers, guys.
shaka. See ya.
Take care.
Bye bye.